Did Justin knock Sylvia down or push her out of the room?
Yes, I pushed her out of my bedroom.
Okay. Where do you work?
I work at Road Science Fintech.
What kind of work do you do?
Graphic design, and it's mostly screens, like detail and car wraps.
Okay. Any follow-up?
No follow-up.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Your Honor, the plaintiff rests.
Okay.
Your Honor, since Mr. Jackson was calling the plaintiff's case in chief, we don't need to revisit that. I only have one witness. So
all right.
If I may retrieve her from the hallway.
Sure.
Or unless they need a background break, but this is going to be a short witness.
Do you need a break? No?
Excuse me, one moment.
Okay. Step up to the stand and raise your right hand and be sworn. You solemnly swear affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge? Yes. Please be seated. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Sylvia.
Hello.
Sylvia, can you tell the jury your full name?
Sylvia Sherry Smith.
And what is your relationship to Mr. Jackson?
He is my dad.
And your relationship or former relationship with Mr. Malangoni?
He is my ex-boyfriend.
Sylvia, over the course of today, the jury has heard, you're of course familiar with the incident, the physical altercation between your dad and Justin, correct? I'm going to ask you a few questions. Before I get to the actual event, I want to talk about the relationship with Justin. After you two had made the in retrospect, the ill-advised decision to purchase the home together, the relationship deteriorated?
Yes.
As the relationship deteriorated, as we approached that July 20th, 2010 date, you and Justin argued?
Yes.
It was not a happy place to be?
No.
The nature of the arguments with Justin early on, were they verbal or physical in nature?
Verbal.
Okay. Did there come a time where any of your disagreements or arguments became physical?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that incident or those incidents?
There was one incident where Justin just kind of chest bumped me and told me I thought I was just big and bad, which I don't know if that's physical.
Well, after that incident, did you call your dad?
Probably, but I can't exactly recall.
Okay. You may have, you may not have.
Exactly.
Any other incidents?
Yes, there was an incident where Justin threw me to the ground.
What were the circumstances of that?
I was in the weight room, I believe, taking apart a machine, and Justin came in, told me to get out, and I wouldn't leave, so he tried to force me out and ended up throwing me to the ground.
Now, this weight room is not inside his bedroom, right? It's an adjacent room.
Correct.
Did you have an agreement with Mr. Malangoni that you weren't allowed in the weight room?
We had both taken each 2 rooms in the house, but not really. It wasn't, I couldn't go into the weight room.
Okay. And so he saw you taking apart one of the machines, and then did he say anything? Were the words exchanged first, or did he just How did it go down?
He asked me to leave, and I told him that I wasn't. And the nature of it was that the previous morning he had gotten up and started vacuuming and doing some other things strictly to wake me up that morning. And kind of as payback, I was doing the same thing in the weight room, and I said, I'm not leaving. This is what it feels like to live with someone who's completely irrational. And he asked me to leave. I refused to leave, and that's how it got physical.
At this point, back in 2010, you guys are in your late 20s.
I was in my mid to late. I was 26.
Okay.
26.
Is it fair to say maybe some of those arguments were a bit childish in looking back on it?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. But at this point where he grabbed you and threw you down, that's the first real aggressive physical act that you...
I'm going to object to leading the witness. That's leading.
I'll rephrase.
Yeah, all right.
I'll rephrase.
Okay.
Did you contact anyone after that incident?
Yes, I did call my father.
Okay. What did you tell your dad?
I said he basically just threw me to the ground. Things got physical. And because I wasn't extremely hurt, I didn't know if I should go to the police about it. So I knew I should get out of the residence, but I honestly didn't know what to do next.
Did your dad advise you to go to the police?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Do you remember how long before July 20th this was?
This was July 18th, July 17th.
2 days before.
Yes.
What were you told by the police when you went to report this?
Objection here, second.
Did the police take a report?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did the police come out and question anyone other than you?
I honestly don't remember. I think Justin also filed a report, so I don't know if the police have to come out and speak to him.
So at this point, you're filing reports against each other?
Correct.
Now, had you in the past made your father aware of the situation between you and Justin?
Yes.
Other than your reports to your father, was there ever a time where your father was witness to any of the verbal or physical assaults?
Yes, I would.
Please.
I would be on my phone, and Justin would be in the background just yelling and screaming, calling me names, saying what he wasn't going to do.
In fact, and your dad was on the phone with you during all of this, correct?
Correct.
Now, about how long before July 20th of 2010 did this occur?
I want to say maybe there was one in June, and I'm sure there were others.
There was at least one time relatively close to July 20th, but this is before Justin had pushed you, thrown you down.
Yes.
Okay. So your dad's on the phone with you. Justin's screaming. What were some of the things he was saying?
He was just calling me the B word and the whore, and honestly, I can't say exactly what he was saying. I had gotten so used to it being just blind noise in the background that I really can't tell you exactly what it was.
And so you're on the phone with your dad. What's he say?
What does my dad
What does your dad say to you, if anything, about this?
He told me to hold on for a minute,
Okay.
and so I held on for a minute. And as it turns out, he was calling Justin. I found this out later.
And talking with Justin on your landline.
Correct.
Okay. So this would have happened several days prior to July 20th.
Yes.
You being grabbed and thrown to the ground happened 2 days before the 18th. After your dad had overheard Justin screaming at you and calling you all those names several days before, did your father tell you he was coming out?
No.
When's the first time your dad told you I'm coming out there?
It was the July 20th incident.
Well, yeah, that was the 18th when you talked to him 2 days before?
Yes.
Okay. Did your dad tell you what he was coming there to do?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He said that we were going to try and work this out because things were getting too far.
Did he ever indicate to you that his intention was to show up and physically attack Justin Malgoni?
Not at all.
Did you ever ask or invite your father that you wanted him to come out there and kick his ass?
Not at all.
And you and Justin were not fans of each other. That is no secret, right?
Correct.
When your dad arrived there on the 20th at the house, were you already home to greet him?
I honestly can't remember, but I would say that was.
When your father showed up, you remember what part of the house or yard you were in?
It would be the side.
Outside?
Yes.
Your dad shows up, you're both outside. How long did you two stay outside?
I can't recall. I know I took him over to the dogs because the dogs were outside.
Okay.
And I'm assuming we left the house shortly thereafter.
When you say took them over the dogs, for what?
We had a pit mastiff and then another dog, and I just wanted him to get reacquainted with them in case they came in the house and didn't know if there would be any issues.
One of those dogs was new to your dad, right?
Yes.
Your dad would have been new to one of the dogs, so you wanted
Yes.
to get him acquainted. Okay. So after that had happened, that's when, what was the impetus where you finally, where the decision was made, let's go into the house? Did you say it? Did your dad say it?
I honestly can't say.
Okay. At some point that decision was made. You can enter the house with your dad.
Correct.
And this is your house too at this point, correct?
Yes.
Your dad was your invited guest.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask again if it's meaning, can you stop leading his own witness, please? It's not even routine background anymore.
I'm just trying to get them up to the incident with the court.
Well, you can't lead her. She's your witness.
When you entered the house with your father, where did you go?
We went to the bedroom, so from what I remember. Not to the bedroom, but there's bedroom, and then there's a weight room, and then there's a door at the weight room. We went to the weight room.
Would that have, the door to get into there, would that also be the door to Justin's bedroom?
Yes.
You were standing with your father. What's the next thing that happened?
I believe I knocked on the door first to try to get Justin out of the room.
Right.
At some point, he didn't really respond. I don't know if I heard a murmur or heard him shout something, but he wasn't coming to the door.
Right.
And so I kind of just left to get on the phone with my sister and get some paperwork together.
Okay, so you go up the hallway into a different room.
Yes.
Where was your father as you walked back?
He was still at the door.
Okay. Did you hear or see your father do anything relative to the door?
I'm assuming he knocked on it, but I was going to the phone. I honestly was out of the room at that point.
What is the next thing that you recall hearing or seeing relative to Justin and your father?
I was on the phone, and I remember telling my sister, I think they're in there fighting, because I could hear kind of rumbling. I don't know, the wall that was kind of back in the living room is the wall that's shared with the weight room, so I could hear kind of like scuffling going on there.
Did you hear them shouting back and forth between the doors before that at any time?
It may have been shouting, but could have just been words exchanged so far that
You couldn't make out what those words
I
were.
wasn't paying attention.
So when you hear this, you're on the phone with your sister, what do you do?
So I got to go and went in the room, and the two of them were fighting, but
Okay, let me stop you there. When you say the room, is this the weight room?
yes,
Not Justin's bedroom, but the weight room.
correct.
When you say they were fighting, were they both standing? Were they both on the ground?
They were both standing kind of arm locked.
Face to face?
Yes.
Okay.
And somehow they were going, and I'm just going, stop it. It's kind of a shock, so I can't honestly say if I was in shock and just standing there saying stop it, or if I was shouting something else, but I think it was stop it. They broke up at some point. And then Justin went back at my dad, and they ended up wrestling on the ground. And when my dad got up with Justin, he had him in chokehold, and Justin said, "I can't breathe," and I was saying, "Let him go," and he let him go, and Justin left.
Did your dad wait any amount of time between the time he said, "I can't breathe," and you said, "Let him go"? Did he release him immediately, or did he wait?
Pretty much immediately.
When your dad released him, what did you see your dad, observe your dad do?
My dad went into the living room and he started writing down his information. That's the next thing that I remember.
I mean, anything relative to Mr. Malangoni? He didn't try and then engage Mr. Malangoni.
No.
Mr. Malangoni, what did he do?
He left the house.
When you say left, did he just stand up and calmly walk out? Did he sprint through the door?
I can't honestly say I remember. I'm assuming he had to get his keys because he jumped in his car and left. But I don't actually remember him getting his keys.
You didn't have any other further conversation with Mr. Malangoni
No.
that day? Justin's, the door that we're talking about that you first knocked on, the door had locks on it, correct?
Yes.
Who installed those locks?
Justin did.
Do you know how long before July 20th those locks had been installed?
I honestly can't say.
Had they been there long?
I don't think so.
Well, if he's going to do without an objection, I'm going to, Judge, do you prefer photos as a group exhibit or individually numbered?
Any way you wish.
Can we do group exhibit
Sure.
D? Okay. And that way I'll just put a statement in to save some time. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Group Exhibit D.
Okay.
I ask you just to flip through those briefly. Okay, do you recognize what those photographs are of?
Yes.
Okay, what are they of?
They're of the lock that was on the door.
And that's the door to get entrance into Justin's bedroom area, right?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the lock, the hinge, the door frame,
Yes.
correct? To your best of your recollection, is this how the lock in the door appeared on July 20th before your father got there?
Yes.
After the incident had occurred, you still stayed in the house and lived there, right?
Yes.
Was there any damage to that lock, the door frame, the screws, the hinge, any part of the door that you saw and you needed to have repaired?
No, not at all.
In fact, those photographs were taken after this incident, correct?
Correct.
Sylvia, after the incident occurred, ultimately you're aware that the police talked to both Mr. Malangoni and your father, correct?
Yes.
Did they ever speak to you?
I did speak to an officer.
Do you recall the officer's name?
Yeah.
Was it the same, do you know if it was the same officer or a different officer that spoke to your father?
I honestly don't know.
When the police came to talk to you and your father, they came to your house, right?
Yes.
When you spoke with the police, did they go inside and talk to you, or did you come outside and speak?
I was outside.
Did you tell the officer that you spoke with what happened as you told the jury here today?
Yes.
At any point, did the police ask to see the door?
No.
at any point, were you contacted by the police at any point down the road after that initial conversation with any follow-up questions or requests to see the inside of the home?
No.
And just to be clear, Sylvia, the photographs of the door, the lock, the chain, the hinge, the frame, no repairs were made to that door after the July 20th incident, right?
No.
No further questions?
Cross.
Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. You have a 4-year degree from Colgate University, don't you?
Yes.
And what's your degree in?
Psychology and English.
You also work in human resources.
Yes.
You understand the nature of record keeping.
Yes.
And you work for chiropractors, in fact, an outfit called Chiro One over in Illinois, Gary, I believe.
Are you asking if I do or if I did?
Did you?
Yes.
And working for them, what did you do?
I was a human resource specialist as well as an executive assistant.
And you understood the importance in that field of maintaining records of doctor visits, notes, things of that nature.
Yes.
And listing everything that's of importance. Is that yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
What do you do now?
I am an HR generalist at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
And now I'd like to talk to you about this incident. You said it happened a couple of days before your father came out.
Please.
Okay. Now, what's witness wrong? You indicated that Justin threw you to the ground.
Yes.
Right. Do you recall writing a note to Justin the day before your father came out?
I don't know.
Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Before I do that, what's my last number?
4 was the photo, the second plan.
Okay, I'll put 5 on this. Right now, that's not a number, but we'll mark it as Plaintiff's Exhibit 5.
Is that your handwriting, man?
Yes.
All right. And on that, at the very top, what's the date that you wrote that to Justin? By the way, that is to Justin, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's the date that you wrote?
It says 7/19,
What time?
8:35 p.m.
Is that when you told Justin about a guest of yours that was coming out?
Possibly. I know I sent an email also, so I don't.
Well, let's focus on what we have here. Is that a letter that you said to Justin where you had a guest coming to your home around 3 o'clock?
Yes.
That guest was your father.
Yes.
You didn't tell Justin it was your father was coming in.
No.
Okay. Was that, did you tell him that his father was coming out to talk to Justin?
No.
You didn't know what the father was coming out for, did you?
I knew what my father was coming out for.
What was your father coming out for?
To speak with me and Justin about
To speak with you. You didn't tell Justin that though, right?
No.
Okay. And that letter goes on to say, please put the dog down, correct?
No.
Does it say, please have the dogs outside?
It says, please lock the dogs in your room once you leave so they don't go after him.
Okay. Well, your dad's been to your house before, correct?
Yes.
And one of the dogs was your dad, correct?
Yes.
Why would the dog go after him?
One of the dogs didn't, and I don't know.
Now, if you could go to the second section, there was a second dating section, correct?
I don't get what you're asking.
Yeah, personal witness wrong.
Yes.
First of all, I can write on there number 5, so easy to know what we're looking at. Now, there's an FYI section.
Yes. Okay.
And in that section, what was the nature of what you were discussing with Justin the day after he threw you to the ground?
That he left the fish light on again.
The fish light.
Yes.
And read that section to the jury, please.
FYI, he left the fish light on for the 3rd time asleep. The second time I didn't touch it because of your reaction the first time. Again, I say this not to point out everything that you do wrong, but to inform you so you can determine if you want to turn the light on immediately when you wake up.
Okay. This is the day after that both you claim both you and he went to the police on July 18th after he threw you to the ground, correct? All right. You never mentioned anything of that incident in there, correct?
No.
And never said in there, by the way, that's my father coming out to talk to you about this incident.
Correct.
Okay. You did not witness the incident itself when your father and Justin started scuffling, did you?
I did that.
You were outside.
Correct.
So, insofar as what occurred, you yourself do not know, other than what either side tells you.
As far as who initiated it,
You do not know because you didn't see it. You'd have to listen to what your father said or what Justin said and pick who you believe.
I never said I knew who initiated it.
That's what I just wanted to be clear about to the jury there.
That's fine.
Your Honor, at this point, we move to admit Plaintiff's Exhibit 5.
No objection.
Five's admitted.
Just leave it up.
Just leave it there, man.
Did you ever get a copy of the police report that you went for on July 18, 2010?
Yes.
You don't have to get that with you.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Okay. At this point, Your Honor, the plaintiff requests I have no further questions.
Okay,
Just a little redirect.
sure.
Sylvia, while you weren't present as to witness who was the initial physical aggressor here, you did witness a portion of the fight where, after it had already begun, you came into the room, and after that brief break, it was Mr. Malingoni who then again went after your father. You saw that one.
Correct.
Part 2, I'll call it. Okay. Were you aware of your father's attempts to talk to Justin about the problems you were having before July 20th, before the 19th, before you wrote that note?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your understanding about Mr. Malingoni's, how receptive was he to the idea of talking with your father?
I'll object to the extent it's calling for hearsay from her father. I don't object insofar as her observations.
I thought that's what he's asking her.
It's a statement of it's a statement of Mr. Jackson. I want to know if she was aware. I'll rephrase it. Were you aware as to whether or not Justin had any interest in talking to your father?
It's difficult to say, honestly, because he would say that he didn't want to talk to my father because he wouldn't kind of listen when he was speaking. But he would send an email to my father, so that's initiating the conversation. So I honestly can't say that I was clear on whether or not Justin wanted to speak.
Did you write that note so your father could ambush Justin?
No, I wrote the note, and if you listen to the tone of it, honestly, I'm not trying to cause or start anything. I realize the relationship is what it is, but we left the fish light on. And I'm hoping that by being amicable with you, when my father does come, maybe we can talk about something and be amicable to each other.
Were you aware of the phone conversation that your dad had with Mr. Malingoni?
Yes.
And to your understanding, how did that phone conversation end?
The same way things always end, sorry. It ended with my father not proceeding to speak to Justin because Justin wouldn't let him get a word in edgewise.
Do you know who terminated the call, who hung up on who?
I would assume Justin hung up.
Do you think that if you would have put my dad's coming in the note that Justin wouldn't be there to talk?
Probably not.
Sylvia, one last question. At any point while you were involved witnessing this altercation where other people were suggested participating, did you ever block Mr. Malingoni's escape or retreat by standing through the doorway and spreading your arms and legs?
Not at all.
No further questions.
You had a chance to read the emails between your father and Justin, correct?
Yes.
And you read the one where your father said at that point, this is like May 2010, it's in evidence of the jury, and he said after he heard Justin say some things, he was already ready to get on a plane from California to come to Chicago. You recall that email exchange?
Yes.
And he said, I'm angry. You recall that in that email?
Yes.
All right. So is it possible you didn't tell Justin in the letter on July 19th of 2010 that your father was flying 2,000 miles from Los Angeles? Because Justin might deduce that your father was angry.
That's not at all what I had a guest come over. If you want to know what it was really about saying a guest, my feelings were hurt because he was sleeping with other women in the house. And there was this, I'm going to have someone coming over, and I want to come to think that it was another guy coming over.
Justin's not obligated to be there to talk to your dad,
No, not at all.
any more than you would have been obligated to speak with his mother.
Right.
Okay. And at the point where you say that Justin, you claim he went after his father in the second part, you don't know what happened.
Right.
You did see your dad choke you, Justin.
I did.
Thank you. Nothing good.
Mr. Barger?
One last question, Sylvia, during the part of the fight that you did see, the point where they ended up on the ground, this was during part 2, the part that you saw. Did you ever see your dad repeatedly smash Justin's head against the weight plate?
No,
Because you didn't see all this stuff, did you?
I did not.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we can ask some questions to this witness, if you so desire.